Kyoto, a name whispered in reverence, a beacon of hope. He was the superdog, protector of the innocent, gifted with intelligence and speed. He was a force for good. Then there was Cujo, a name uttered in fear, a nightmare made flesh. Once a gentle soul, he was twisted by rabies into a monster. His size and ferocity were unmatched. Two legendary canines, one a symbol of hope, the other an embodiment of fear. Their paths were destined to collide. Kyoto was trained by a secret organization. They honed his natural abilities to their peak. His senses were razor sharp. He could anticipate danger. He could move with blinding speed. His bite was powerful, but he was not invincible. He was still flesh and blood. Cujo was a force of nature. The rabies had amplified his strength and aggression. He was driven by a primal instinct to kill. He was relentless. He felt no pain, but he was also mindless. He was a slave to the disease. One relied on skill and strategy, the other on brute force and fury. Their differences would be their strengths and their weaknesses. Rumors spread like wildfire. Cujo was on the move. He left a trail of destruction in his wake. Towns were terrorized. People lived in fear. The authorities were powerless to stop him. Kyoto's human companions, agents of the secret organization, knew what was coming. They had been tracking Cujo's movements. The time had come to confront the monster, to protect the innocent, to stop the carnage. A showdown was inevitable, a clash of titans. The fate of countless lives hung in the balance. The abandoned town was eerily silent. The air was thick with tension. Kyoto could smell Cujo's stench, a mix of blood and rage. He was close. Suddenly Cujo burst from the shadows, a hulking mass of muscle and teeth. He charged at Kyoto. The ground trembled beneath his paws. Kyoto dodged the attack. He moved like lightning. He struck Cujo's flank. His teeth sank into flesh. Cujo roared in pain, but the beast was relentless. He kept coming. The fight raged on, a blur of movement and sound. Each blow landed with bone-jarring force. Kyoto used his speed and agility to his advantage. He darted in and out, landing blows, avoiding Cujo's attacks. The battle raged. Kyoto, weary but determined, dodged another furious lunge. Cujo, infected mind consumed by rage, suddenly faltered. A whimper escaped his throat. The scent hit Kyoto first, acrid, unnatural, unlike anything he'd smelled before. It filled the air, emanating from Cujo. Then came the sound, faint at first, then growing louder, echoing through the abandoned streets. Cujo, the monstrous beast, whined again, fear flickering in his bloodshot eyes. He backed away from Kyoto, turning towards the source of the light and sound. Kyoto, sensing a shift in the air, a new threat beyond the mad dog before him, stood his ground. The light intensified. Out of the darkness, creatures emerged, grotesque, twisted mockeries of animals. They swarmed towards Cujo, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Cujo snarled, but his defiance was weak. He was outnumbered, outmatched. The creatures were closing in. Kyoto knew he had to act. These creatures were a threat far greater than Cujo. He lunged at the closest creature, teeth bared. To his surprise, Cujo followed suit. They fought back to back, an unlikely alliance forged in the face of a common enemy. The creatures fought with unnatural speed and ferocity, but Kyoto and Cujo were a force to be reckoned with. Kyoto's strategic strikes and Cujo's brute strength kept the creatures at bay. With a final desperate surge, they drove the creatures back. The creatures retreated into the darkness, their glowing eyes disappearing like dying embers. Silence descended. Kyoto and Cujo circled each other cautiously. Their eyes met. The air crackled with tension. Could this truce hold, or was this just the calm before the storm? A low growl rumbled in Cujo's chest. His eyes, though, held a flicker of something other than rage. Gratitude, respect. The unnatural scent that clung to him had faded, replaced by the familiar tang of blood and fur. Before either dog could act, the ground trembled. The pulsing light returned, stronger than before. The creatures were back, their ranks doubled. This time, they were led by a figure of pure darkness, its eyes burning with malevolent intelligence. The figure locked eyes with Kyoto. A voice, cold and sharp as ice, sliced through the night. "Join us," it hissed, "and together we will remake this world." Kyoto, never one to back down from a fight, especially against such palpable evil, knew what he had to do. He met Cujo's gaze, a silent question passing between them. To his surprise, Cujo didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, placing himself beside Kyoto, a low growl rumbling deep in his chest. The alliance was solidified. The battle that followed was epic. Kyoto and Cujo fought with a ferocity born of desperation. They were outnumbered, outmatched, but not out of hope. Kyoto's speed and cunning, combined with Cujo's raw power, decimated the creature's ranks. Finally, only the figure of darkness remained. It lunged at Kyoto, tendrils of shadow lashing out. Kyoto dodged, feeling the chill of the void as it passed by. Cujo, with a roar that shook the very foundations of the town, slammed into the figure, its shadowy form flickering. As the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the figure of darkness shrieked, dissolving into motes of light. The creatures, their connection to the figure severed, collapsed, their forms dissolving into dust. Kyoto and Cujo, battered and weary, stood side by side, watching as the last vestiges of the creatures faded away. The town was safe for now, but both knew this was just the beginning. The forces of darkness were everywhere, and they, the unlikely duo, were all that stood between the world and the encroaching shadows. And so, the legend of Kyoto, the Superdog, and Cujo, the Redeemed, was born. They went their separate ways, but their paths would cross again. For they were the guardians, bound by destiny to protect the world from the forces of darkness.